New audio has surfaced as part of a lawsuit that accuses Sean Diddy Combs of sexual assault.
So when I tell these stories, they don't believe. And some of them are, yeah, I heard, I'm there. Yo, I have Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays. When I come to work, yo, Gene, this what happened. Yo, Gene, did you hear that? Yo, Gene, da-da-da-da.
Potential witnesses have been contacted and notified by federal investigators that they may be called to testify in front of a grand jury.
You done birthed a lot of these fucking content creators.
Well, what happens here is that the federal government started a case with him. Apparently the search warrant that had his houses in Miami and LA was pre-planned already. They knew they were going to do that. So they have a much bigger...
You won't believe the scandal brewing Diddy's world has just been rocked. New footage leaked by the feds is making waves, and it's not looking good for him with a string of legal troubles already haunting him. This could be career-ending, so what's in this mysterious footage and how's Diddy responding? You'll want to stay tuned for the juicy details, because if the rumors are true, this might spell the end of Diddy's empire. Can he recover from this?
Assigned to the NYPD. I was the hip-hop cop back then, so I had to assist in arresting him in several instances where there were some crimes committed.
What were those arrests for?
One was the Club New York shooting. He was with J-Lo at the time, and the other one was the Steve Stout assault that happened with MTV.
Right, okay. So I have some exclusive information which you just heard. The fact, if it's true, that they found a lot of weapons at his homes, what do you think this could mean?
Well, what happens here is that the federal government started a case with him. Apparently the search warrant that had his houses in Miami and LA was pre-planned already. They knew they were going to do that. So they have a much bigger case. Right now with the guns, they're going to check them. They're going to trace them, see if they were used in any crimes. They're going to go over anything about cooperators that are cooperating with them. They're going to be talking to a lot of people about certain criminal acts that he might have committed, and then go from there.
And what about the videos?
Well, they're going to sift through those videos. They're going to look at them and then see if there's any criminality on those videos, and then they'll go from there.
So what do you think? I mean, it just seems like the house of cards might fall for Diddy right now.
It's not looking that great. Right now, I know that he has high-powered attorneys, and with all these allegations that are coming out against him and against other people, a lot of people are starting to be very nervous about what's going on.
When you arrested Diddy back in the day, what kind of interaction did you have with him?
More professional. I mean, he knew who I was. I knew who he was. And whenever he got into trouble, it was like I was like his detective. So,
yeah.
You know, I always had to come to the precinct of whatever happened, and then to deal with him, to make sure that everything was good with the detectives there, and then everything else going on.
We should mention that Diddy has denied any wrongdoing. As of right now, he's saying he had nothing to do with anything. So
right now, it's just an investigation.
Right, but it seems like all of this came to light after his ex-girlfriend Cassie alleged that she was in a very abusive relationship with him.
That accelerated things. I mean, his settlement with her and other criminal acts that she alleged have happened, and then other people started coming forward, so it's like a house of cards.
Yeah, and I think there's several people right now that are alleging that they were in allegedly compromising positions at Diddy's house.
Yes.
Being forced to do things that they didn't want to do.
There are a lot of things that are coming out right now, and what's going to happen is that the government's going to go through all of these things that they have uncovered, and they're going to see if there's any criminality. If any charges are to be brought, they will bring them later.
So let's talk about this, because I'm not like into the weeds of all this.
Okay.
But apparently TMZ is reporting that Suge Knight, who's in prison right now, right? And he's
in prison, yes, he's in jail. For he ran over an individual in Los Angeles and committed a homicide.
Okay, so TMZ is reporting that Suge Knight has said to Diddy right now, your life is in danger.
Yes. Okay, what he's probably saying, I can't speak for what he's saying.
Yeah.
Because of everything that's going on right now, there's probably a lot of people that are upset about what's going on. And then, you know, even yesterday I started seeing things online where people are starting to make threats towards 50, and Diddy is starting to go back. And this is how it starts in hip-hop. It starts right on social media, and then it goes into the streets.
It does. You know, you don't hear about that too much. I mean, back in the day, yes, right? There was a lot of that.
Back in the days, you had diss records where people would just do diss records, and one rapper would talk about the other rapper. Now they go to clubs and places, and this is where they meet, and then there's always collateral damage.
Okay, so there's also been talk. I didn't realize like there was this Camp Diddy. We're hearing that Usher, when he was a young man just starting in the business, he went to Diddy's house for an extended period of time. Even Justin Bieber was brought there. I think he was 15 years old. And now we're kind of looking at their interviews that they gave years ago about being at Diddy's house and what transpired. We're looking at it differently.
Well, they are, because they were young men at the time. So with all the sex trafficking allegations that are out right now, this is what everybody's looking at. They're looking at the past and the present.
So we're hearing that Diddy is not going to be arrested anytime soon. What do you think is going on in the meantime?
Well, the government is building their case. Apparently what they're doing is they're going through all the witnesses or cooperators that they have, all the evidence that they've uncovered, and they're going to see if there's any charges that are going to be brought up. But you'll see something happening very soon. This is not over.
I was about to say, and the Southern District of New York?
And that's one of the most prestigious districts. I just testified in the Eastern District about a month ago, so I know.
So you know these guys don't fool around?
No, they don't fool around at all.
Tarek Parker, thank you so much for being here. The hip-hop cop weighing in this morning on the Diddy investigation. Appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
The feds reportedly snagged security camera footage from one of Diddy's properties. And it's not just him vibing in the living room, we're talking some shady business going down. I can't reveal too much due to legalities, but whispers suggest the video features Diddy in some tense conversations with people definitely not on his holiday card list. Think unwanted guests you rather avoid, and get this, the drama of how the footage surfaced is wild. Apparently some tech expert was checking Diddy's security systems, thanks to all his recent legal woes, and stumbled upon this treasure trove of stretchiness. You might wonder if the footage is legit. Trust me, the feds are on it, employing their top tech theorists to verify every pixel, and from what I hear, it's passing all the tests with flying colors.
I don't know if he said kill her, but I heard the part about the putting in the car, and that's the same that when Kirk Burroughs wouldn't sign over his rights to Bad Boy, his 25%, that he was threatening to do. Kirk was like, yo, y'all nigga put that in the car and drive him around. So I could see him doing that with the putting in the car stuff, but I don't see him killing her for the article and all that, bro. But to putting her in the car, something like that, I could see him saying that to her.
So that's something that he told the Kirk Burroughs too then?
Yeah, he told Kirk Burroughs that when he was threatening with them baseball bats.
What's the story with that, yo?
I think it was like Kirk had to sign over Bad Boy. He had like 25% of Bad Boy. But for them to get the deal, everything had to be in one lump thing. Like somebody couldn't owe 25%, somebody couldn't owe him for Puff to do the deal. So Kirk had to sign over his shares in order for them to do the deal, which I didn't never understand. It wasn't my business to understand it. But Kirk ended up signing over it back to Diddy with the promise that he was going to get it back once they do the whole thing with Clive Davis and everything. And Kirk had to be threatened in order to do it. And that was with it was no real baseball bats. You know those mini baseball bats you get from the games back in the day? Those little short baseball bats, they used to give them back in the day when we was growing up. I don't think they do that anymore. You know, so Puff threatened Kirk with that, a couple other dudes, and told me, you're gonna take this long ride or you're gonna give up that percentage of the company.
And that's when Kirk Burroughs, he signed it over, he was scared?
Yeah, he's scared. What else he gonna do?
Yeah, that's crazy. I mean, to hear that from you, that confirms it. Because when people hear this, they start to believe that, it's being made up and, people going overboard with the lies. But, to hear that from you. Yeah,
I know, bro. That's the whole thing about it is that. But then, some people, they go by faith and other people go by sight. You know what I'm saying? I live by faith, brother. See, nobody believed he was the man that he was until they seen him running down the hall, throwing that little girl against the wall, throwing her on the floor, and start kicking her like she was somebody's soccer ball. They had to see that to believe the evil in him. So when I tell these stories, they don't believe. And some of them, I heard, I'm there. Yo, I have Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays. When I come to work, yo, Gene, this what happened. Yo, Gene, did you hear that? Yo, Gene, da-da-da-da-da. I'm looking at this nigga like, for real? Wow. So now everybody think that because I talk about it, that I was a part of it and I saw it. Not everything. Did we have to rough some cats up? Yeah. I'm for that. Back in the day, I'm for that. Whatever. Sue's Rendezvous was gladiator school for me. I love that, especially when dudes start talking that stuff and what they gonna do. That's a younger part of Gene. When we doing them parties, I'm at the front door and dudes are talking that smack. I'm for that. That was a younger Gene. These are just stories of my life. It's a difference. So when Puff did some of those things like that, yeah. But I'm not gonna be involved in them hurting somebody's daughter, drugging somebody's daughter, or raping somebody's daughter. Not Gene Deal. I got daughters of my own. I got sisters. No, you're not doing that. So when these guys make up that shit out here on these content creators and want to believe this and say that, you can make your mouth say anything.
So what does this mean for Diddy Honey? It's not looking good. This footage could be the smoking gun the feds have been hunting for, potentially revealing serious criminal activity that could swap his designer suits for an orange jumpsuit. But here's the kicker. It's not just Diddy who's in hot water. His connections in the industry could drag a whole lot of Hollywood down with him. Now I know Diddy's faced trouble before and always managed to bounce back, but this feels different. The feds seem to have solid evidence and the stakes are high. The implications are massive with potential charges that make his past issues look like minor fractions. We're talking everything from money laundering to conspiracy charges that can't just be brushed off with a quick settlement.
In 8 civil lawsuits, 7 of them directly accusing him of sexual assault. CNN entertainment correspondent Elizabeth Wagmeister is here with more on her exclusive reporting. Elizabeth, tell us what you're learning.
We have learned from 2 sources that potential witnesses have been contacted and notified by federal investigators that they may be called to testify in front of a grand jury. Now, there is no timeline for when this may happen. We are hearing from sources that the investigation is very much still underway. We remember back in late March when 2 of Diddy's homes in Los Angeles and Miami were raided. That was the start of this criminal investigation, and now with our reporting that this could go to the grand jury, this is absolutely the biggest escalation in this investigation and gives some indication that authorities are looking towards a possible indictment. Now, as you mentioned, there have been a slew of lawsuits against the music mogul. He faces 8, 7 of which are directly accusing him of sexual assault. I hear from a source that many of these accusers who have filed these civil suits have been brought in for questioning, some of them being called in numerous times. We hear that many of these potential witnesses have been cooperating with these investigators, some even offering up evidence that they believe could be of note for this investigation.
Elizabeth, the majority of the plaintiffs in the civil suits, they've now been interviewed by federal investigators in the criminal probe. We know the LAPD previously said that they couldn't bring charges based on that 2016 Cassie video because of the statute of limitations. What could federal investigators be looking at here?
That's absolutely right. Because of the statute of limitations, that provides really a blockade for many of these accusers. But we do know that this federal investigation, which to your point, Boris, is of criminal nature, is largely based on the accusations that are in these many mounting lawsuits. So this is a criminal investigation at this point. Of course, we remember that when Diddy's homes were raided, that his attorneys called it a gross overuse of military force. They called it a witch hunt. We know that Diddy has denied many of these allegations that have come against him, although he hasn't responded to all of them. So at this point, it is an investigation. We have to wait to see where this may go. But again, this is a large escalation now that we know that potential witnesses have been notified that they do want to bring them to testify in front of a federal grand jury in New York City. So much more to come, but also another thing that we have to watch out for, Boris, as these current cases are being litigated, are more accusers going to come forward? There has been a constant domino effect since November when that first lawsuit from Cassie came out, and now could there be?
Let me tell you, Diddy is not handling this leak well at all. The streets are buzzing that he's in full panic mode. And can you blame him? This footage, Hesson shook to his core when he first caught wind of the leak. He lost it, throwing phones and yelling at his team. Sources close to him say they'd never seen him this stressed before, and that's saying something given his history of drama. So how is Diddy dealing with this mess? He's got his legal team working overtime trying to spin the situation, but it's not looking good. Even his lawyers are concerned. This time, the kicker, he's gone completely silent. In public, no Instagram posts, no Twitter rants. It's like he's gone ghost, which is so unlike him. His team did issue a weak statement talking about allegations and respecting the legal process, but we all know that's just a cover for the real trouble he's in.
Recording studio on the yacht where the alleged assault happened. This is the latest in a series of lawsuits filed against the rap mogul and businessman. Both men, father and son, deny the allegations against them. CNN national correspondent Camila Bernal joining me live with details on this. Camila, what more are you learning?
Hey, Fred. So in this audio that CNN has listened to, you can specifically hear the accuser who alleges that she was being forced to take this tequila shot that she believed was laced with drugs. And in the audio, you can hear her asking Christian Combs if she was being drugged. And he answers, "Take the shot." Now, just to put things into perspective, the accuser was a crew member on the yacht. She was a bartender. And she says that shortly after this incident with the shot, she says she was cornered in a room. She says things became aggressive and physical, and then says that Christian Combs forced himself on her, and then says that it wasn't until another employee on the yacht came into this room that the abuse that she is alleging in this 31-page lawsuit stopped. And she says it only stopped because that person came into the room. Now, I want to read part of what the accuser's attorney is saying right now. What he's saying is, defendant Sean Combs turned what was sold as a wholesome family excursion into a hedonistic environment. It resulted in an unexpected increase in workload for her and for her colleagues, as well as unwanted exposure to unlawful drug use, sex work, and general chaos. Now, why are they naming Diddy in all of this? And it is partially because he was leasing that yacht. Now, he is not accused of sexual assault, but he is accused in this lawsuit of liability and aiding and abetting because he was the one renting the yacht. Now, his attorney, or actually the attorney for both men, also speaking out and denying these allegations, saying this complaint is filled with manufactured lies and irrelevant facts. We will be filing a motion to dismiss this outrageous claim. Again, they have continued to say that this is something that they will fight, that they are innocent in all of this. So we'll have to wait and see how this plays out in court, if it gets to court or if it gets settled at some point, which has been the case with a previous lawsuit. But again, we'll have to wait and see what happens as Diddy and his son continue to say they're innocent, and the victims here continue to say that they were sexually assaulted, Fred.
And so while music mogul Combs isn't accused of sexual assault in the lawsuit, he has been accused of a range of sexual misconduct in other separate lawsuits. How might that play into this?
Yeah, as I mentioned, one of the lawsuits was settled, but there are others that are currently pending, right? And so there's a lot of the details that we've learned, and attorneys say that there's audio and video of these alleged crimes, or at least some of the alleged crimes. You're seeing some of those cases there. The one with Cassie was the one that was settled, but there are other ones that we'll still have to wait and see how they play out. And of course, we all saw just last month as Diddy's homes in both Miami and Los Angeles were the target of a federal investigation, and we saw that all play out on video last month. But again, it's important to point out that Diddy continues to say that he is innocent. They said this was a gross overuse of military level force, and they say that he is innocent and will continue to fight.
Get this, Diddy has been holding secret meetings with top crisis management experts. Think people who handle scandals for presidents that's how serious this situation is. Rumor has it he's even considering leaving the country and looking at places without extradition treaties. I'm not saying he's guilty, but that doesn't look good. This drama is taking a toll on his empire, with business partners getting nervous and starting to distance themselves. If Diddy goes down, many could follow.
They went to sit down with their lawyers and everything like that. So now he used that as a ploy. Okay, I'm gonna give y'all publishing back, but y'all gotta sign this NDA, non-disclosure. Y'all can't talk about nothing about Bad Boy. Y'all can't talk about me. Y'all can't talk about nothing I did or Janice Cone Publishing, Justin Publishing, or whatever he got his company's name in, or Sony, Universal, none of that. He did that for a reason. He did that to shut them up. But then he went on this whole hiatus that, okay, I'm doing this to give back because this is the right thing to do. No, you did that because you didn't want those people to come out on you. And now, if they do, you take that publishing back that you gave them, which was, okay, they say it's worth something. It's worth something, but it ain't worth what it used to be.
Yeah, she also said in this documentary that, some people are worried that, if Diddy, if he make it through this, he might retaliate and do something to him.
I don't care about that. I don't think about that. And I'm never afraid of no man. You understand? And if she said that that's her own opinion, what I do know is this, is that he will never be what he was back when Big was alive and when Mace and them, and they did that whole Bad Boy for Life tour. He would never be that individual known like that again. And that's fine with me. I don't care if he ever do a day in jail. You understand? That's not for me. But I know for a fact he will never ever be what he once was based on what we know about him now. And I'm fine with that.
I mean, for you've been speaking on Diddy since the early 2000s. So, I mean, if he was going to do something to you, he would have been did it. So, I'm sure he ain't going to do nothing to you, so.
Well, I wouldn't say that. I wouldn't say that. But my head is always on the swivel. You understand? Every time I step my foot out of my house, I don't take nothing for granted. I don't judge a man by his size. I never have. I never will. I don't judge a man by the color of his skin. You understand? It's a term in the legal field that you could indict a ham sandwich, but the Southern District of New York has a 98.2 conviction rate. All right, for those who don't know, if you got 100 people, only 1.28 or something like that, 1.8, only 1.8 has won against them. So now, what they do, they already got the witnesses, they already got the people, because let me just say something. With the sex trafficking thing, it only takes one witness to convince the jury. One witness. And we know who that witness is going to be. Cassie. She filed a civil suit against him. So it only takes one, in the sex trafficking charge, it only takes one witness. Now we got other people like Jonathan Odie, who was one of the sex workers, that he gave a testimony, or he gave some information to some agents that he was working, doing sexual acts with Cassie, cross states, going back and forth, this, that, and the third. So it only takes one witness. So now, the reason they haven't went after him because there's more to get into. It's more to get into. It's not only the sex trafficking, it's the guns, the alleged drugs. And I'm saying alleged because they haven't came out with any